Webinar is now broadcasting. Go for it, Fiona.
Are we on?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Animal Studies and Where It Can Lead. If you've tuned into this webinar, you would most likely have a love for animals and are possibly considering a career in caring for animals. I'm Fiona, the Industry Placement Coordinator at Bendigo TAFE, and we have Scott.
And I'm Scott. I am a teacher at Bendigo TAFE and also have my own grooming business, which we'll talk about a bit later on.
Thanks, Scott. Before we get started, I'd like to run through some webinar housekeeping etiquette. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions throughout the webinar. Please type any questions that you have into the Q&A button that you can see at the bottom of your screen. Catherine will be your moderator for the session today, so she'll be answering some of the questions throughout the webinar. And if your question isn't answered during the session, we'll address it at the end. Please note that we won't be using the raise hand function in tonight's webinar. Also, just a reminder to please be respectful to the rights, privacy, safety, opinions and beliefs of others, and also demonstrate appropriate and respectful behaviour and use of language. We hope you enjoy this webinar and our virtual open day. Okay, so we've mentioned who we are, but before we start, we would just like to show you some of our amazing state-of-the-art facilities that we've got available at the Charleston Road Bendigo campus. Would you like to say anything about that, Scott?
Yeah, I can talk about that. We've had, this was set up a couple of years ago. Now we've been up and running. It's still got lots of bits and pieces going on, new bits coming and going all the time. There's basically that picture down the bottom there, that's the student area, and so is one on the left. That's the student area where normally without Corona, we get to hang out and sit and talk and do all those sorts of things. And it's a great space just to be in and get to know people and do things. The top one there's part of our clinic or Centre of Excellence, we call it. And it's a huge facility and it's a state-of-the-art facility. It's just like a running grooming salon, veterinary clinic, training facility. The whole area also incorporates horticulture as well. So there's all that side of it as well, the plants and everything that's there. It's an amazing facility to work in. It's an amazing facility to study in as well. So if you're looking for somewhere, that's the sort of place to be.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful place. Very lucky to have it. And here's some of the animals that you might want to mention, Scott.
Yep. This is some pictures of different animals, obviously. All of the teachers at Bendigo TAFE, animal studies teachers, have all worked in different areas of animal industry, from veterinary nursing to grooming to training to whatever. That's Bridget there. She worked in a lot of native fauna parks and native animal environments. So she had a lot to do with that. So they did the turtles. She caught turtles, measured them, cared for them. Baby kangaroos she raised. So she does a lot of native animal stuff. And then down the bottom there, she's hand feeding a kitten, which one of our units, which Fern will talk about, is care for young and that sort of thing we go through. There's also reptiles as well and exotic species. And of course, dogs and cats are our main focus because a lot of people want to get into the animal industry for dogs and cats. So
awesome. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm Fiona, the placement coordinator for Bendigo TAFE, and my role is to source the placement for you. So I'm in regular touch with organisations within the animal industry and also vet clinics throughout the regional area. Placement is actually a requirement of your course, and each course has a certain amount of placement hours that you need to complete in order to obtain your qualification. But it is a really great an opportunity for you to talk, listen and learn from the experienced workers within the industry, and also gain some relevant experience to add to your resume. So, and of course, if you prove to be a great worker, you could also gain a really great reference and possibly even a job out of it. So it really is an important part of your course. So just going through, touching on some of the main areas of our training. So we have here animal studies. These are the general entry courses and are also prerequisites to other courses such as vet nursing, if that's where you want to go. We also have companion animal services. This is if you're wanting to work with animals in a more gentle, caring, compassionate environment, such as the like behavioural and training of animals. zoos and dog grooming. And then we have our vet nursing courses. So this is if you're wanting to mainly care for, say, sick or injured animals, you'll be mainly working in a vet clinic. And this course is also good if you're looking at a step towards, say, a diploma or university qualification in the future. Now, we also have here some of our courses that we run at Bendigo TAFE. So as you can see here, we have Certificate 2 in Animal Studies. That's a 6-month course and the classes are 2 days a week, and you will be required to do 40 hours of practical placement. And as I said before, this is actually a general entry course and is a minimum prerequisite for vet nursing. Then we have our Certificate 3 in Animal Studies. This is a 6-month course as well, but 3 days a week is required with classes, at the moment online for most of them because of COVID, but we also have this one here is 80 hours of practical placement. So it's more intensive than the Certificate 2. We then have the Certificate 4 in Companion Animal Services. This one's a 1-year course and class time is 3 days a week, and you need to do 120 hours of placement for this course. You could choose this course if you're wanting to work with animals in a compassionate environment, like I mentioned, but you don't necessarily want to work in a vet clinic. Then we have our Certificate 4 in Vet Nursing, which is 240 hours of practical placement over the duration of the course, which is 2 years. Okay, so I've outlined here some of the possible careers and the different areas that you can get into by studying our animal studies courses. So as you can see in the circle, the middle section with all the circles, they're just some of the areas that you can get into, such as wildlife or equine or small animal vets or animal shelters, to name a few. The areas on the outside, which are in the blue, are other areas that you can get into if you decide to take your studies further to university or something like that. So some of the areas there are laboratory, technology, management, and animal science, to name a few. So what units are studied in each course? So just a few here that are mentioned. For example, Certificate 2, you might get to do feed and water animals and just healthcare of the animals and providing basic care of domestic dogs and some hygiene routines. Certificate 3, you might be looking at, as I said, more intensive type units, such as nutritional requirements, basic care of non-venomous reptiles and infection control. Then we have Certificate 4 in Companion Animals. So some of those units that you might be looking at are professional companion animal grooming, animal behaviour and hydrobathing services. Then we have our vet nursing course. In the first year, it's more like learning about office procedures, nutritional advice, the clinic reception duties and things like that.
Flick slides, Fiona. Next slide.
Oh, whoops, thank you.
There we go.
Sorry. And so in the second year, you will be doing more practical units. So in this particular year, this is where most of your placement will actually take place as well, because of the practical side of things, such as pathology procedures, microchipping, imaging, and that sort of thing. So I now would like to actually conduct a little interview with Scott. He's already given a brief introduction. So Scott is one of our most enthusiastic, energetic Certificate 4 in Companion Animal Services teachers.
Okay, before I jump onto that, can we just say, I'll say a few words about the courses as well, because Fiona's expanded on them and talked about them. Just as far as the courses go, I don't only teach companion animals, I teach different bits and pieces of all of the courses. And all of them work at a different level. So you've got certificate 2, which is very basic level animal studies. So if you're wanting to get into animal studies and you don't know exactly what you want to do or where you want to go, that's maybe the course for you to start with. And you can go on to certificate 3 straight after that, just to give yourself a bit more knowledge before you go on and have to make a full decision about which direction you'd like to head in. So those 2 courses are designed for that base level. What do I want to do with animals? And then after that, you move on and you might go on and do vet nursing, which is specifically vet nursing, or you might go on and do companion animals, which looks at the different types of companion animals. So that's where people work with all different types of animals and reptiles and those sorts of things, depending. So it just depends which aspect you want to take. So if you don't know what you want to do, which a lot of people out there, when they're going, I want to work with animals, they don't know exactly what they might think they want to be a vet nurse because that's all they know, but not necessarily what they exactly want. So sometimes jumping into certificate 2 or 3 to start with, just to give you that little bit of knowledge, is probably a really good place to start.
Yeah. Great advice there, Scott.
No worries.
And also, just to mention, if you are looking at this screen, he is also he has his own dog grooming business called Bubble and Squeak.
It is called Bubble and Squeak, and it's in Castlemaine. Yes, it is. So that's what I do basically for a job most days. I'm either at Bendigo TAFE or I'm grooming dogs, making them go from that to that.
And this is one of your clients, Scott, I see.
Absolutely one of my clients. His name was Gus, that one. And he comes in regularly. He comes in black and goes out white usually. So yeah, it is. It's a good job in the sense that you get to work with lots of other people with animals.
Very fluffy and very cute.
Yeah.
Okay, Scott, so we just want to ask you a few questions just in regards to your experience and your knowledge. So just to start off with, just wondering if you could give us an overview on what the actual industry is like.
Absolutely. So when talking about industry, yes, I'm a dog groomer now, but I've also worked in pounds and shelters, boarding kennels. I've worked in vet clinics. I've worked in training facilities, and I've worked in lots of other areas of captive animals and things like that. So overall, the industry has a lot of things in common. Okay. And basically it's hard work. So if you're thinking you've worked hard for all these years, or you've been doing something and you want to change to something that's a little bit easier and maybe playing with fluffy animals, don't. It's every single aspect of the industry is hard. It's a lot of cleaning. Okay, so you might think you're going to be doing all this stuff with animals. You'll even find when you start your course, it's cleaning. You're learning about infection control, how to clean things properly, how to prevent diseases, all those sorts of things. So it's a really dirty environment usually working with animals. It's not usually a clean environment. You're dealing with lots of bits and pieces that come out of an animal, which you don't like to do. It's also got lots of customer service in it as well. So you are working with people as well as animals. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go work with animals. I hate people. However, you do end up working with people as well. So don't think you're not going to. But in saying all of that, it's a really rewarding industry in all aspects. You get all different types. If you're working with large animals like horses or cattle or something like that, even it's a very rewarding industry to be able to look at. And you always get cute fixes. So you get baby animals and you get little cute animals and you get dogs and cats that do cute things. Like there's always the bad side and the good side. So yeah, just remember though, if you are launching into it, it really is a difficult, dirty industry to work in.
Yeah. Well, they do make a lot of mess. So, I think a lot of the time that you actually spend in the job is actually cleaning up after animals. But as Scott said, it is, if you've got a love for animals, then you're going to find that it's super rewarding and satisfying. Okay, great. Thanks, Scott. Now, just if you could touch on some of the jobs that we have here that that each qualification can lead to.
Absolutely. So as I was saying about the basic certificate 2 level, you can just do certificate 2 depending on what you want to do. Some of you might be young and just starting out working with animals. Some of you might be mature age and going, okay, I want to change career. Like there's all different reasons to do certificate 2. And that can put something like an animal care attendant or something like that. So that might be working at the RSPCA, just cleaning out the cages and doing that sort of thing and doing a bit of record keeping and all that sort of stuff. So it could be something as simple as that. And that might be all you want to do. That might be, and it's a lovely job for lots of people. Assistant dog groomer. So maybe you don't want to be a fully qualified dog groomer running a business and doing all that sort of stuff. You just want to help out washing dogs or something. That's okay too. So certificate 3, it's a higher level. It is a higher level of education as well. So the assessments, I guess, are a little bit more difficult than certificate 2. And that usually has a lot to do with shelters and pounds, but on a different level. So it might be like a ranger or something like that. So you've got that bit more. Companion animals, Fiona's got a great list there, like pet shops, trainers, groomers, catteries, shelters, pet mining services, mobile hydrobathing, often certificate for people end up running their own business in animals somehow. And then veterinary nursing is veterinary nursing. So if you are going to do veterinary nursing, which a lot of you will be interested in, if you are, remember, you will become a vet nurse. So you don't necessarily go to vet nursing and go out and do another job in a zoo or something like that. You end up working with a vet as a veterinary nurse. So
yeah, great advice there, Scott. And just as you mentioned earlier, like if you do the certificate to and that's all you want to do is become a vet nurse, you might find after the certificate too that you really don't want to be a vet nurse, and it might
does
just
happen
broaden.
often.
Sorry?
It does happen often. People go in saying, I'm going to be a vet nurse. They do certificate 2 or 3 and then they go, change my mind. I'm doing something.
Better than paying out all that money for just doing a certificate 4 and then finding that you don't really want to be in that industry, which is why this certificate 2 is definitely a great prerequisite to have. Great. So now, just what are some of the things that that you don't hear about with working in this, Scott?
About how backbreaking it is. Often you don't hear that. Lots of poo and vomit. Lots and lots of poo and vomit. Most days involve poo and vomit of some description. Just because a dog vomits doesn't mean it's necessarily sick. It ate too much breakfast. It comes in for grooming. It throws up all over the floor. If you're working in vet nursing,
information, Scott.
Yeah, I love a bit of information. It's awesome. If you're doing vet nursing, you are dealing with sick animals quite often. Yes, you have healthy animals as well that's coming for a checkup, but you're dealing with sick animals. You're dealing with blood. You're dealing with guts. You're dealing with all that sort of stuff. So you need to be able to do that. Anal glands are something that dogs have that are really disgusting, stinking, revolting things that people don't know anything about till all of a sudden they come in to groom a dog and you go, I got to do the anal glands. And like, what have I got to do with anal glands? It's great TV. It's great dinner time conversation with the family though later on. Vicious animals, you do deal with lots of animals that try to bite. You learn how to deal with muzzles and things like that, and muzzles on cats and cat claws. Dying dogs, especially vet nursing, you're going to deal with dying animals, and you're going to deal with
very true,
very sad situations that you need to be able to cope with. And hair, in my case, hair everywhere. Like there's hair in every orifice you can possibly imagine. That's how hair goes. Hair splinters are a thing. You get them under your skin and they dig in, and it's so painful. Anyway, yes. So there's lots of bits that you don't know about till you walk in there.
Okay. So now, would you be able to tell us some of the characteristics and personality traits that you would need to work in this industry?
A lot of people, the same with people who work with children often, a lot of people that think they're going to work with animals go, I really don't do people very well, so I'm going to go work with animals because I do animals well, or I do children well, so they head down that road. Unfortunately, you still do people. So you need some people skills, especially if you're going to be just an assistant, you're going to stay at that level and you can hide away with the animals and clean cages or something, that's fine. But most of the industries that people are going to aim for when they do these courses are going to involve customer service and communication and those sorts of skills as well. So that needs to be part of your personality. If you're a natural people person, you have an affinity with animals, you are ideal to walk into this situation. If you
just like yourself there, Scott.
There you go. If you hate people and you don't do real well with animals and you think you're going to learn it, you're going to struggle a bit. I'm not saying you can't do it, and you can learn it. Everyone can learn. However, if you haven't got that in your personality, it might be a little bit more of a challenge to get there. And I know not everyone's me. You're not all going to bubble through everything and talk to everybody and anybody. But you do need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go in and do this, especially when it's online. It's really hard online because you're not meeting people and talking to people. So it's a little bit more difficult at the moment. But you need a nice personality. You need an affinity with animals to be able to work with them on a regular basis as well.
Good stuff. Okay. And now can you tell us about a memorable experience that sticks in your head?
Well, I thought of this one last week, and this was about a dog called Tex who came in, the big white Old English Sheepdog cross. He's got very pale skin. And he basically came in and the owner had to put a muzzle on him when she brought him in, and he was a really big dog and a really scary dog, and he had this look in his eyes like he's going to eat me alive. And I'm like, okay, I can do anything apparently. So I say, not true. Anyway, so I had this dog and he came in and the owner's like, I don't think you'll be able to groom him. Like no one's been able to get near him. And the story of the dog was he was on the loose, running around in the city wherever he was running around, and everyone tried to catch him. Lots of people tried to catch him. No one could catch him. He had his tail between his legs for 3 months. He just ran and ran and ran, and he was skin and bone and had no food. Anyway, this person, they finally caught him. This person rescued him from a rescue place and brought him in. And she said there was a photo of him like being washed, and he was enjoying it, but he was terrified and I couldn't get near him. So anyway, the first time I brought him in, I had 2 muzzles on him. I put him in the bath. I had 2 to 3 people holding him just to get him clean because he was disgusting and filthy. And we dried him, same thing. It was a really bad experience for all of us. And anyway, he went and she said, oh, can I bring him back? And I said, oh, great, I'd love that. That'd be awesome. So she brought him back, and the next time he came, he was better. Third time he came in, he now comes in and kisses and cuddles everybody, and we hug him and pat him.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful dog to have around.
Amazing transformation.
It's awesome. So he was just so terrified of life. And so those sort of experiences for me as a groomer happen often, like you get that sort of thing. But not only in that, like I also breed cats as well. And I see people that have had kittens over the years, and just the experience of like being able to share an animal with someone is just amazing.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. So rewarding to see that transformation,
Absolutely.
Scott.
Yep.
So tell us, what's the best part about working with animals, in your opinion?
The best part is just loving animals. Like, I mean, all of you who are looking at doing animal studies or vet nursing of some description, it starts usually with a love of animals and thinking, I really want to work with them. I mean, it
makes the day enjoyable.
Yeah, it does. As I say, it's hard work. Don't think for 1 second it's easy. It's not easy to work with. But then no job's really easy when you think about it. Like, some of you might have easy jobs, but generally work is work. That's why it's called work, and that's what we do. But being able to work with an animal, and even if you get the difficult ones and the difficult times of the day, or the difficult stress in your head and all that sort of stuff, and then you get a little puppy. So everything that goes wrong in the day, it's a crappy day. You've worked with people, management, all that, everything's gone wrong. You've got this animal to go sit down and pat and say, I hate my life, but I love you. So you've got that side of work all the time. So it's not always horrible. It's not always hard work, but work is still going to be work. So if you've got animals with you when you're there, it's half of beaten.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I really appreciate all of your knowledge, and you are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to animals, Scott, and not just animals, all sorts of things. But
that's very nice of you to say, Fiona.
So we love having you as a teacher, and I'm sure that if you do choose an animal studies course, then you get Scott as your teacher. You are going to really enjoy it thoroughly. So. Okay. So now, for more information, if you are looking to apply for one of our animal studies or veterinary nursing courses, please visit our website, www.bendigotafe.edu.au, or call 13TAFE. Or you can apply directly through our virtual day, open day animal studies course page, or you can even register for an information session on the Bendigo TAFE website as well. And that way you can really get a really great overview from some of the other teachers that run the information sessions as well, with further details about how to apply, how to enrol, etc. So if there's any questions, we're up to question time. Do we have time for that?
Yeah, if we're quick. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time to type them. And we'll give it 30 seconds. And if we don't receive anything, I think we'll end the webinar here.
I love a bit of silence.
It goes
down well, doesn't it?
No?
No questions.
Maybe someone's typing.
Maybe.
Well, oh, well, I think we've pretty much covered most of the, general information. So we do hope that you've actually found this webinar informative, and hope that it's helped you to decide on what kind of career you'd like to choose.
Fiona, when does placement take place?
Well, placement can be generally after a month or so, once you've done your occupational health and safety unit, and then we send you out on placement. It can be various depending on the requirements of the placement host employer. So it could be 1 day a week. Sometimes we get some students to do a week in the holidays. So it totally varies.
But during the course, because you need to do the placement while you're enrolled in the course.
Yes, you need to be enrolled in the course, and then I'll find something that matches exactly what you're looking for.
Yep.
Yep.
Any more questions? No worries.
Is there some? I can't quite.
No, I'm looking. I'll let you know. There's no more. That's
No
all.
more.
All right. I reckon if no one else is typing in,
No.
if you do have questions, though, you can contact us anytime at the TAFE. So feel free, and Fiona's told you that information as well. So
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you so much, Scott. Great
thanks,
stuff.
Fiona. That was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
See
All
ya.
the best. Bye.